Okay, let's unpack this a bit. When you think about what you wear, in every day,
Yeah.
maybe something like jeans,
Right.
right? Super common. Do you ever stop and think about the massive global market behind just that one item?
hmm
It's not just fashion trends. It's this huge economic story playing out everywhere.
It's actually fascinating, isn't it? How a simple garment like denim jeans can really act as a
A
lens.
lens, how so?
Well, it lets us see these complex economic stories unfolding in completely different parts of the world. So, our deep dive today, it's based on some really solid data. It's from the Global Jeans Market Dynamics Country Level Analysis 2021-2033 report.
Okay?
Cognitive Market Research put it together. And our mission really is to pull out the key insights for you. We want to show not just, which countries are leading or growing fastest,
Right.
but also what these changes might actually signal about, well, everything from fashion to consumer habits to global economics.
Got it. Okay, so where should we start? Maybe North America. That feels like a big one for consumer markets.
Absolutely. Yeah, North America is a natural starting point, and the data definitely confirms its huge role. The United States, well, no surprise there, it's the clear market leader. Back in 2021, its jeans market was already at $17.848 billion,
Wow.
and it's projected to climb up to $27.539 billion by 2033. That's a steady growth, a CAGR of about 3.71%.
Okay, steady growth, big numbers. What about the neighbors?
Canada's also pretty strong, forecasted to hit over $10 billion by 2033. Its CAGR is actually a bit higher, 4.591%.
Interesting.
But here's where it gets maybe a little surprising: Mexico.
Oh,
Yeah, its overall market size is smaller, definitely. But it's the fastest growing of the three in North America. Mexico started at just under $2 billion in 2021, $1.986 billion to be exact.
okay.
But it's set to pretty much double, reaching $3.928 billion by 2033. That gives it a really impressive CAGR of nearly 6%, 5.936%.
Wow. Okay. So you've got the massive scale of the U.S., but then Mexico's showing this really rapid acceleration. That's quite a contrast.
It is.
Market size doesn't always tell the whole story about growth speed, does it?
Exactly. That faster growth in Mexico, it probably points to a few things. Maybe a rapidly expanding middle class, more people moving to cities, a younger population that's really quick to pick up on global fashion trends like denim.
Right. So it suggests a market that's maybe still got a lot of room to grow, unlike the U.S. or Canada, which might be more saturated.
Precisely. More mature markets versus ones still developing its full potential for denim. So, shall we shift over to Europe now? It's such a different picture there, very diverse economies and fashion scenes.
Definitely. Europe's always fascinating that way. What's the jeans market showing us about that diversity?
Well, it's quite a mixed bag, really reflects those different economic speeds. Your big players like the UK, Germany, France, Italy, they all show pretty consistent growth, generally in the 3 to 4% CAGR range.
Okay.
So the UK, for instance, was about $2.6 billion in 2021, expected to hit over $4 billion by 2033. It points to, stable, mature demand.
Right. Steady Eddie in the big economies. Any surprises?
Well, if you dig a bit deeper, yeah, some countries are expanding more dynamically. Spain, for example.
Oh, yeah.
It posted a really strong CAGR, over 5.4%. And then you have Russia, Sweden, Denmark. They're also growing faster than that average, all above 4.5%.
Interesting. So denim's really catching on even more strongly there.
It seems that way, yeah. Stronger adoption, perhaps increasing. But then on the flip side, you look at places like Switzerland and Luxembourg, their growth rates are noticeably slower, sort of hovering around 3%, maybe a bit lower for Switzerland.
Okay, so why might that be?
Could be a few things. Highly mature markets, maybe denim demand is just stable, not really exploding. Or perhaps, cultural preferences lean elsewhere in those higher income spots.
Makes sense.
But what's really striking, I think, is the rest of Europe category.
The collective group.
Exactly. All those smaller or maybe emerging European markets grouped together, they're forecasted to hit over $1.5 billion by 2033, and their combined CAGR is almost 7%, 6.873%.
Whoa, nearly 7%. That's huge for a whole group.
It is. It signals there's a lot of really diverse, high-growth stuff happening in markets that maybe weren't as developed or saturated before. Denim adoption seems to be accelerating significantly in those areas.
Yeah, that rest of Europe number is a real eye-opener. It's not just about the big names.
Not at all.
Okay, so speaking of rapid shifts and big numbers, let's head over to Asia Pacific. That region's known for its scale and, well, dynamic markets.
Oh, absolutely. Asia Pacific is a total powerhouse in this story. China, of course, led the pack with nearly $7 billion, $6.849 billion in 2021.
Okay.
And it's expected to more than double, reaching $14.192 billion by 2033. That's a growth rate, a CAGR, of over 6%, 6.175%.
So it's definitely on track to challenge the U.S. market size then.
Very much so. It's a clear trajectory. And other key players there, like Japan, South Korea, Australia, they're also showing strong, steady growth,
Why?
mostly in that 4 to 5.5% CAGR range.
Right. Consistent growth across the board there, too.
Pretty much. But
Yeah.
if we're talking about the global growth leader,
Yeah.
the real standout, the one that jumps off the page, is India.
India. Okay, tell me about that.
India's jeans market started smaller, just under $2 billion, $1.972 billion in 2021, but it's projected to surge past $4.7 billion, $4.754 billion by 2033. And get this, the CAGR is an astonishing 7.151%.
Wow. Okay, here's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
Over 7%.
Yeah.
That's striking. What does that actually mean on the ground?
Well, it's a potential game changer, really. You've got India's massive population combined with this rapidly growing middle class.
Right.
That means a huge new wave of consumers entering the market, and they seem really eager to embrace global fashion trends like denim. This kind of growth suggests a pretty significant cultural shift, too. Maybe traditional clothing is being increasingly supplemented or even replaced in some cases by Western styles for daily wear.
So that's driving this massive demand.
Exactly. It makes India arguably the most important future market for denim brands globally. The potential there is just enormous.
Incredible. So China's the giant right now, but India is setting this blistering pace for the future. Okay, let's pivot now to South America. It's a region we sometimes, maybe unfairly, overlook in these big global market chats.
That's a great point, and the data definitely shows we shouldn't overlook it. Brazil is still the clear market leader there. It started at about $2 billion in 2021 and is projected to hit $3.17 billion by 2033. That's a respectable CAGR of 4.633%.
Okay, solid leader. But are there any faster growers there, like we saw with Mexico?
Yes, absolutely. Some of the really promising growth rates are elsewhere. Colombia, for instance, shows a really robust CAGR of over 6.2%. Its market size is set to nearly double by 2033. Peru is also strong, around 5.9% CAGR, and Chile is over 5.2%.
So similar pattern then. Brazil's the biggest, but others are growing faster.
Pretty much. It suggests, not just growing populations, but rising disposable incomes and this increasing appetite for denim fashion right across the continent. It looks like a strong upward trend for market growth there.
Fascinating stuff. Okay, what about the Middle East? How does the denim story look there?
In the Middle East, Saudi Arabia really stands out as the leader.
Okay.
It started near $1 billion in 2021 and is forecasted to almost double to nearly $2 billion, $1.967 billion by 2033. That's a strong CAGR, too, almost 5.9%.
Wow, nearly 6% in Saudi Arabia. What's behind that, do you think?
Likely a combination of things again. A young population, lots of economic development going on, and maybe increasing Western influence on what people want to buy and wear.
Right. And other countries in the region?
Others like the UAE, Egypt, Qatar, they're also showing steady growth, kind of in that 3.5 to 4% range. It suggests the market is growing, but maybe it's a bit more established there compared to the acceleration in Saudi Arabia.
Okay. Any slower ones?
Turkey actually follows with a more modest CAGR, just under 3%, 2.957%. So it really highlights these very dynamics within the region. Saudi Arabia seems to be the main growth engine for denim there right now.
Interesting regional differences. Okay, let's wrap up the regional tour with Africa. What are the numbers telling us about the jeans market there?
Africa is definitely what you'd call an emerging frontier for jeans. Nigeria and South Africa are the current leaders. Both are showing pretty consistent growth, right around 3.9% CAGR. So South Africa, for example, started at about $0.6 billion in 2021 and is projected to get close to $1 billion, $0.935 billion by 2033.
Okay. And the rest of the continent?
The rest of Africa segment grouped together shows a very similar steady expansion, also around 3.9, nearly 4% CAGR.
So it's quite consistent across the board then. Steady, not explosive like India, but solid growth.
Exactly. It's this consistent sort of foundational growth. It suggests a gradual but stable expansion. As you see things like disposable incomes rise and more urbanization, it's slowly but surely opening up new opportunities for denim brands. It's laying the groundwork for potentially significant future growth down the line.
Right. So we've toured the world in jeans. We've seen massive numbers, surprising growth spurts, steady markets. What does this all really mean for you listening in? Whether you're just curious or maybe you're in business, growth seems to be the theme everywhere.
That really is the big takeaway. Continued global demand pretty much everywhere you look, but with these really distinct regional flavors.
Yeah.
So, if we connect the dots, a few key things stand out. First, the US is still the biggest single market by a long shot. It's like the anchor.
Mm-hmm.
But China is catching up incredibly fast in terms of size. That definitely signals a shift in, global consumer power.
Yeah, that's clear.
Then there's India. That's the real attention grabber, right?
Yeah.
Highest projected growth globally, over 7%. It's not just numbers. It feels like a huge societal shift happening there.
Right. A massive population embracing global fashion.
Exactly. And this pattern, where you see the fastest growth often in these emerging economies, India, Mexico, Colombia, Saudi Arabia, it hints at something bigger, like rapidly expanding middle classes, maybe younger populations, and just this widespread adoption of global trends like denim. It's becoming a universal garment.
Even in the mature markets, though, Europe, U.S.
Yeah, even there. The growth might be slower sometimes, but it's still steady. It just shows the enduring appeal of jeans. It's quite remarkable how universally embraced they've become.
It really is.
So maybe this raises an important question for you to think about.
Go on.
As this global jeans market keeps expanding and shifting, how might the evolution of this one, seemingly simple piece of clothing, how might that reflect broader trends, things like globalization, cultural exchange, maybe even issues like sustainability in the years ahead?
That's a fantastic thought to leave everyone with. It really makes you pause and consider the surprising economic and cultural story that's potentially hidden right there in your own wardrobe. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Welcome to a new deep dive. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on something pretty much all of us have. Jeans. We're digging into the global jeans market. It's this really dynamic area, actually, mixing a lot of history with some, well, seriously cutting-edge stuff. So our mission today is to unpack the trends, the challenges, and the opportunities shaping this market. We're leaning heavily on insights from cognitive market research. They've done some fascinating work mapping it all out. You think you know jeans, right? But you might be surprised how things like consumer taste, tech, sustainability, even global events have reshaped this everyday staple. So what's really driving this market forward?
Well, what's really interesting here is how multiple forces are kind of converging. A big one is just that constant global demand for clothes that are adaptable, casual. The shift to hybrid work, for example, that really brought jeans back to the forefront. They're just perfect for that mix of comfort and looking, well, presentable enough.
That makes total sense. Easy to wear at home, but fine for heading out too. But it's not just comfort driving it, is it? What about the actual materials, the fabrics?
Absolutely, not just comfort. Another huge growth engine is the move towards sustainable materials and real advancements in fabric technology. We're seeing innovations like, say, odor-resistant jeans or super flexible weaves, and things like waterless dyeing techniques using recycled cotton. Brands are definitely responding to consumers who care about the planet. They're offering smarter, greener options.
Wow, that's huge. From tech to eco-consciousness. And speaking of growth, I'm seeing something here about premium denim. Is that a big piece?
Yeah, that brings up market segmentation. Yes, the premium and even luxury denim segments are expanding. That's a major factor.
Yeah.
Especially in emerging economies. You've got rising disposable incomes, people aspiring to own higher-end stuff. It's pushing designer jeans more mainstream. It really shows jeans aren't just, a basic item anymore.
Okay, so it's this mix of casual comfort, cutting-edge green tech, and even a touch of luxury. But, it can't all be smooth sailing, right? What are the biggest hurdles? The main challenges the global jeans market is facing?
Right. If you look at the bigger picture, the environmental cost of making denim the traditional way is a huge restraint. It uses massive amounts of water, chemicals. Plus, you have stricter environmental regulations coming in that increases compliance costs for manufacturers, making things tougher.
So regulations and the environmental footprint, those are definitely big challenges for the industry side. What about for us, the people buying the jeans? Any hurdles there?
Well, price sensitivity is definitely a factor, especially in developing regions, where fast fashion brands offer much cheaper alternatives. And then there's that classic problem with buying online. Inconsistent sizing.
Yeah.
Fit is everything with jeans. This leads to really high return rates. And that's a major headache, logistically and financially, for brands and retailers.
Oh, yeah, that makes total sense. I think we've all been there, ordering jeans online that just don't fit right when they arrive. Okay, so with those challenges, how's the market adapting? What are some of the transformative trends we're seeing right now?
One really big trend is the rise of used denim. Circular fashion. You see this particularly with Gen Z consumers. They're really into thrifting platforms, even rental services for clothes. And brands are noticing. They're starting their own buyback programs, resale initiatives, giving pre-loved jeans a second life.
Wow, so you're saying the jeans I buy might have already had a whole life before me. That's actually pretty cool. What else is happening? Any other big shifts?
Definitely. Customization and personalization are becoming really key for engaging customers. Think about made-to-order jeans or unique patches, embellishments, maybe laser-engraved designs. There's a big DIY culture influence. Customers kind of expect to co-create their denim now, make each pair uniquely theirs.
So it's not just picking something off the rack anymore, it's co-creation.
That's interesting. And what about sizing? Is there progress on inclusivity?
Precisely. That's another really positive, forward-thinking trend. The push toward inclusive sizing and also gender-neutral styles. You're seeing things like adaptive jeans, designed for people with mobility issues, maybe easier closures, also unisex fits, much wider size ranges. The market is really trying to embrace diversity, making sure denim works for everybody.
That's a fantastic shift to see, really positive. Now, we can't really talk about market dynamics over the last few years without touching on COVID-19. How did the pandemic actually leave its mark on the jeans market?
Well, initially, during the main lockdowns, consumer preferences shifted, dramatically. Everyone wanted loungewear, athleisure. That definitely challenged denim's relevance for a bit. Comfort was king, stuck at home. However, as things started opening back up, jeans made a surprisingly strong comeback. People wanted clothes that were comfortable but still looked, put together for hybrid life. Jeans fit that bill perfectly. Right, so they kind of bounced back because they offered that sweet spot between comfort and style for this new way of living and working. And I guess the pandemic probably also sped up some changes that were already kind of bubbling under the surface.
Oh, absolutely. You're spot on. It massively accelerated the shift to e-commerce. Brands had to scramble to improve virtual fitting tools, anything to reduce those high return rates we mentioned. And it also really heightened consumer awareness around sustainability. People had more time to think, maybe. That definitely reinforced the market's pivot towards eco-friendly materials, ethical production, made it more urgent.
Wow. Okay. What a journey through the world of jeans. We've covered quite a bit. We've seen how this iconic garment is driven by our need for comfort, versatility,
Yeah.
but also transformed by amazing fabric tech and sustainable practices, and challenged too by environmental issues, online fit problems. We also looked at how it's adapting circular fashion, personalization, inclusive sizing, and how it navigated the whole pandemic situation.
Yeah, what really stands out, I think, is how something seemingly so simple, like a pair of jeans, actually reflects so many bigger shifts in society. How we work, how we shop, our growing environmental awareness, even our desire for self-expression. It's kind of all woven in there.
It really does make you think about the whole story behind every pair, doesn't it? From the cotton field all the way to your closet. It's a testament to constant innovation, really, and adaptation.
And maybe this raises a question for you, listening at home. As denim keeps evolving, how might your own choices, whether it's fashion or, other areas, how might they connect with these bigger trends, particularly around things like sustainability and personalization, maybe thinking beyond just consumption?
That's a great thought to chew on. And that pretty much wraps up our deep dive into the global jeans market. We hope you feel a bit more informed, maybe a little more curious about the clothes you wear every day. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.